Welcome to the channel. My name is Ama. I want to thank you guys for tuning in on today. Alright, so I want to say that I'm doing this share basically as an audio of the post that I just made on my community page. So if you haven't seen it, I'm making this audio because some people get the notifications, others don't. And I thought that it was important enough for me to just make this audio. And hopefully in doing the audio, you will understand or at least be able to feel what I'm saying more than just the words on the page, okay? And when I say feel, sometimes words don't come across the way you intend them to. That's why I don't like texting. I don't understand people who are adults, especially if you're getting to know someone in a relationship. No man should text me, okay? All right, you might text me to say good morning, text me to say how I'm doing, text me to say I love you, text me to say, I'm thinking about you, sweetie, but please don't think about having a full conversation via text. I just, because sometimes words just don't come out the way you intended, or when you read it, it doesn't come across the way that the person intends for it to come across. So I'm going to read what I posted on my community page, okay? It says here, but first let me show you this picture. There's a common saying, at least in the places where I have been in Africa, particularly I've heard this in Ghana, where you try to warn them and they'll say, oh, my case is different. My case is, oh, it doesn't apply to me. My case is different. You can tell them, look, don't go the back way to Europe. Don't do this. Don't do that. And they always assume that their case is different, okay? Because of whatever reason, their case is going to be different. So if you hear, let me just say this, if you hear some noise going on, ignore it. I'll do that in another video, okay? All right, I'll talk about that along with some other things. Or maybe I won't, all right? But I want to talk about those among the African diaspora who have the mindset that their case is different, okay? All right, so often, I wrote here, often when diasporas, native Africans, and those who just know better try to educate African diasporas returning to the African continent about particular challenges they are facing or will face on their African journey, their advice is often ignored or they receive pushback. Sadly, the persons who need to heed the warning or seek counsel often see themselves and their cases as being different. My case is different. All right? When you try to warn them about relationships, business, housing, fake friends, resentment by some locals, sexism, classism, tribalism, xenophobia, security challenges, and so many other challenges that they will encounter, most assume that you are either jealous, a negative person, out of touch, too old, too young, lack their skills, have no game, honey. You ain't got no game. You can't tell me what to do. Or even more ridiculous, they assume that you are hating on them. Sadly, our people come with I'm a grown whatever person, and you can't tell me anything attitude. That attitude does not work in Africa or really anywhere in the world. We can all learn from others. When persons like myself offer affordable, almost giveaway prices for consultations, and I can't speak for anyone else, but I can tell you that with almost 20 years as of next year of experience coming and living on the African continent, having a child to go to school on the African continent multiple times, homeschooling on the African continent, meeting someone, relationship that I have talked about that. Be warned, okay? On the African continent, although it has been many years since that relationship, I have learned from it and it still holds true, and I see some of you falling for the same trap. Now, thank Yah that what was the ultimate intent of that whole fiasco was not realized, because I listened to the Ruach when I didn't have anybody else to listen to. And after listening to the Ruach, I went and talked to some people, okay, and listened to their counsel, okay, and followed that counsel. Back to this. If you haven't heard those videos, go back and listen, or I'll do some more, okay? All right. Let's see. When persons like, let me start over again. When persons like myself offer affordable, almost giveaway prices for consultations, our own people assume that you are wrongfully trying to make money off of them. This thought is absolutely comical. If those who offer high quality, honest, and thorough consultations had to rely on the very little that they receive from those consultations, tours, ebooks, etc., they would literally starve to death and become homeless. So, what is the real problem that prevents us from working together and supporting one another, as some claim they want to do? They claim they want to work together. We should work together. We should support one another. They don't mean it. They don't mean it. It only applies to their goals. It only applies to them being the recipient. Okay? Number one problem is to-know-ism. To-know-ism. You listen. It does not matter if the advice is free or for a nominal charge. It all boils down to severe cases of to-know-ism that exist among our people. When someone is referred to as to-know, it means that they are arrogant and think they know it all. No matter how humble the person may appear, they lack the humility to take or even keep in mind the advice of others. All right? They're to-know. You hear that a lot. Depending on where you are in Africa, you'll hear people refer to someone as to-know. Okay. Number two reason is we should do it for free. That's the second problem. The wrong thinking that our own people should be willing to give everything and get nothing in return is just that, wrong thinking. Meanwhile, these same people will boast about how much they have spent on the services or products that they purchase from other people groups. And please ignore any typographical, grammatical errors I have here, okay? All right, so yeah, these same people will penny pinch when it comes to you. But then they are the same people who will be boasting about how much they invested in, counseling from so-and-so, or an audience with so-and-so, or coaching from someone else that, and often these people are from other people groups, right? But when it comes to you, then you should do it for free, for the cause, for the love of the brothers and sisters. Yeah, okay. Number three, and I'm talking about good sound counsel. I'm talking about thorough counsel. All right. I'm talking about people. I can't speak for others, but for myself. I will not even consult you for a fee if after you present your question and I know that I cannot assist you with that, or I am not the best person to assist you with that. I will either tell you that I'm not, or I will tell you that I'm not. And if I know of someone who definitely can and has proven to be professional and so on, I will point you in their direction. If not, I will just state to you that I am not the best person for that. Okay. All right. So, but number three, reason why a problem that we have is the seeds of Willie Lynch still exist among us. Okay. Hatred towards one another and distrust of our own people is a major problem. Many people will not support our own, even when supporting others. When supporting others, they are supporting themselves, and the others I'm speaking about is our own. They will not support one another, even if supporting that person means you're supporting yourself. They would rather give their money to people who do not share a common experience, don't understand that you will be in their country without a source of income, do not understand how hard you have worked for the money that you have. Therefore, you cannot afford to be cheated, played, or overcharged even by a little bit. They would rather connect with a local, which that's good. I believe in working with locals. I believe in working with locals, and I work with locals. I support locals. I support local businesses as well. Okay? But the truth of the matter is our people will see you offering a service and will overstep you to go to someone that they see as a local and assume that that person is an expert just because they are from that country. When that person doesn't have the same income level that you have, they see you as someone that comes with magic money. They don't know your experiences. They present, homes. I just marvel at sometimes when people show homes. The house is only $500,000. I'm like, only $500,000, and they in cash. Okay, $200,000, $300,000. Let's tell the truth. We don't have that kind of money sitting around. You don't have that kind of money sitting around. All right, most 99% of us, if you asked us to present $200,000, $300,000 cash, put it on the table right now, all right, we couldn't. We, our mama, our daddy, sister, brother, all of us put together could not come up with $200,000 cash and put it on the table right now, okay, without borrowing, getting a loan, or putting up some kind of guarantee. And that's just the facts, okay? But when you go and work with people who don't understand where you're coming from, they don't understand your experiences, they don't understand how things work, they don't understand your financial standing. Even if you can't afford it, it doesn't mean you want to overpay, and you should not overpay just because you can afford it. When you tell people, look, I want this kind of house and I want it in this kind of neighborhood, it is important for me to have a street. It is important for me to have a street where my guests will not be insulting me all the way to my house. Meaning that I don't want my guests to be riding through a ditch that someone has called a road just to get to my house. So when you're looking for a home for me, the home must look like this, that, and the other, but I want it on a pretty decent road. Even if it is a dirt road, it needs to be a dirt road of a certain standard, okay? Not a ditch disguised as a road. That person doesn't understand. They will take you to a house, all right? And it may or may not be what you want, okay? But it doesn't have the things that are important to you that they overlook. They may think, hey, this is good. A common statement made by many people who show you stuff that's not what you want is, oh, it's good. It's good. It's good. And it's not good for you. I'm thinking, who is it good for, me or you? Whose money is going to be spent on this, mine or yours? Okay? So when you try to tell people that your own is often the best to work with, okay, in certain situations, they would rather go and work with others. Why? Because they distrust their own. Okay, so the spirit of Willie Lynch, which has hatred towards and distrust towards our own people. Many people will not support our own, even when supporting others. We're supporting our own, they are supporting themselves. They would rather give their money to people who do not share a common experience, don't understand that you will be in their country with a limited amount of resources, okay, and they don't understand how hard you work for your money, okay, and so they don't understand that being cheated, played, and overcharged is something that you can't afford. The self-hatred, envy, jealousy, and distrust of our own is prevalent among African Americans who come to Africa, and I'm speaking for myself as an African American. This has a lot to do with the Willie Lynch conditioning that our people received in the USA. I would even say that this problem is more prevalent among African Americans than any other diaspora that has been scattered to the four corners of the earth, and that's the truth. But so has our struggle been harder. I have to say that because we were not in our own country or, the majority there. Okay, there were times, for example, in South Carolina when we were the majority. Okay, but as a people now, we're still not the majority in our own so-called country and nations. Okay, our own people will advise others to work with locals before trusting your fellow African American diaspora. They will point out the criminal, greedy behavior of a few and ignore the integrity, good ethics, and professionalism of the majority. They would rather work with others even though you have the genuineness, professionalism, experience, and or knowledge, reliability, and trustworthy connections that can assist them. They're forgetting they're the ones that are in need, all right? These type of returnees, diasporas, are no different than those who shop at every foreign-owned store in the U.S., but will not shop at their fellow African-American store owners' shops. They will present a million excuses why they do not fully support their own. Some will also stereotype their fellow African-American businesses without ever having stepped one foot in their stores. In the doors of their stores. Others will claim that they have used the services of their own people in the past, but were cheated. But interestingly and sadly, they will never admit, and you see a lot of this with people who have purchased land, all right, in various countries, various African countries, okay, so it's not just one person. They will never admit their own wrong choices, okay, or their own choices made just out of ignorance, meaning lack of knowledge, okay. They will never admit that. They will never admit that. We have all made wrong choices, but pride will never allow them to admit that. Okay? They will never admit their wrong choices, failures to do their own due diligence, refusal to work with others, okay, or how their own greed have led to their pitfalls, heartaches, and problems. And it's not just land, relationships, businesses, investments, whatever it is. So what is my point and what am I saying? If you still do not understand what I'm saying, I will simply tell you what I am not saying. I am not saying that working with one of our own is a cure-all to all of the challenges that we will face with repatriation and living on the African continent. No, I'm not saying that. So don't think that working with myself and so many others who are offering their services is going to make it a totally smooth transition for you. Just like I gave the example, I can refer you to people that I know will not cheat you, who are honest, registered agents, okay, particularly in Ghana, all right? And you can tell them what you want. They'll take you to that house that you want, but to get there, that road gonna be raggedy, okay? Or some other something that you don't want. So then you need someone like myself, all right? Or you need systems in place where you can already have forms printed out and you can tell them specifically, this is my checklist, do not show me a home if this is not the conditions of the surrounding areas or the location, so on and so forth, because you're not going to find that in place on the continent. But when you're working with people who have experienced that and people who are offering their services, I cannot speak for others, I can only speak for myself, all right? This is the type of service that I would offer. This is not a pitch for business. In fact, don't even come to me if you have a negative attitude about this. And when I say negative, that word is subjective. But when you have any other type of thinking that I mentioned here, don't come to me for services. Find someone else who's offering good, honest, and thorough services and work with them. Okay? If you feel that this is the intent of me sharing this is to get money, listen. If I was waiting on money from anyone, okay, I would not be here alive talking, okay? All right, I would. But thank Yah, He is my source and my hope. I'm sharing this because too many of us are falling into too many unnecessary pitfalls. I wish I had the help that so many of you have out there. I wish that I had friends whose mind was on helping me to stay in Africa instead of making stupid comments. And I say they were stupid, like, why do you want to live in Ghana? Ghana is hard. Why do you want to stay in Ghana? Huh? If I had $1 for every time someone would tell me that, okay, I would be very, very rich, okay? So I wish that I had what you guys had. I didn't. So I had to learn. And it took a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort. And yes, to me, the information, knowledge, and experience that I have is very valuable, and it comes with a price. Okay? All right. So, some of it, much of it, I give away for free on these videos, but there are some that I just have to charge for. Okay? But you don't have to pay for it. So, as I said, my point is, if you still do not understand what I'm saying, I'm simply telling you what I am not saying. I am not saying that working with one of our own is a cure-all to all of the challenges that we will face with repatriation and living on the African continent. I am only pointing out that our experiences are unique as a people. You'll have a unique experience, but do not allow wrong thinking about your fellow diasporas or KNOWISM, okay? Arrogant thinking to make you think that you will never face or succumb to the challenges that others have faced because you tell yourself that. As for me, my case is different. My case is different. Y'all need to get it together. My case is different. I got this. I'm grown. Those are things that we love to say. All right? And fast forward a couple of days, couple of months, even a couple of years, you'll find yourself wishing that you had taken the time to get the assistance, listen to the advice, and apply the advice that others have given. Don't let this happen to you. All right? Shalom.